Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, introduced a concept that transformed how we understand the human mind. It's called the shadow. Today we're going to explore what the shadow is, how it shapes your behavior, and how working with it can unlock your full emotional and psychological potential. The shadow refers to the unconscious parts of your personality, the traits, behaviors, and emotions you've rejected or hidden away over the course of your life. These parts aren't necessarily evil or bad. Many of them are morally neutral or even positive. They've simply been pushed out of sight because they didn't fit with how you were taught to behave or see yourself. From childhood, society, culture, family, and religion teach us what is acceptable and what is not. As we grow, we unconsciously begin pushing certain behaviors, desires, and feelings out of our awareness. Over time, this collection of suppressed parts becomes what Jung called the personal shadow. For example, a child told to never show anger may grow up to suppress all signs of assertiveness. But instead of disappearing, that energy gets buried and often resurfaces as passive aggression, anxiety, or sudden emotional outbursts. Jung said, "The less the shadow is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. In other words, the more we ignore it, the more power it has over us." Unacknowledged shadow traits leak into daily life through emotional triggers, irrational behavior, and projection. You might blame others for things that are actually your own unresolved issues. You may even sabotage relationships or career opportunities without understanding why. This is how the shadow works when left in the dark. It shapes behavior unconsciously and creates inner conflict, and that conflict builds over time. One of the most common ways the shadow expresses itself is through projection. Jung explained that we often attribute to others the qualities we dislike in ourselves. This psychological defense mechanism allows us to avoid taking responsibility for our inner conflicts. For example, if someone's confidence annoys you, it may be because you've suppressed your own need for recognition. When we judge others harshly, it's often a mirror showing us what we've repressed in ourselves. Recognizing these projections is a powerful step toward emotional awareness. Jung also spoke about the collective shadow, the unconscious traits shared by entire groups, cultures, or societies. These are the biases, fears, and beliefs that are often considered normal, but actually reflect deep psychological avoidance. Cultures that suppress vulnerability, for instance, may glorify strength and emotional toughness, but this comes at a cost. People feel disconnected, isolated, and emotionally shut down. Recognizing the collective shadow isn't just about personal healing. It's also about building more compassionate communities. When we ignore these collective issues, we contribute to larger societal problems like prejudice, injustice, and division. Shadow work is the practice of uncovering and integrating these hidden aspects of yourself. The goal isn't to eliminate the shadow. It's a permanent part of the psyche. The goal is to form a conscious relationship with it. Shadow work begins with self-observation. Start by paying attention to your emotional reactions. What annoys you, angers you, or makes you feel ashamed? These strong emotional responses are often clues pointing to repressed parts of yourself. Next, reflect on what you've been taught to hide. Were you told it's wrong to cry, brag, or express your needs? Were you praised for being quiet, agreeable, or selfless to the point of self-denial? These early lessons shape the shadow. Journaling is a powerful tool for this process. Write freely about what you feel, especially in situations that trigger discomfort. Don't filter or judge, just express. Over time, you'll start to see patterns that reveal what you've been hiding and why. The shadow doesn't just hold negative traits. It also contains strength, talent, and potential you've buried. Assertiveness, creativity, sensuality, leadership. These can all end up in the shadow if they were discouraged growing up. For example, if you were taught that being assertive is rude, you may now struggle to set boundaries. But hidden within that buried assertiveness is the ability to stand up for yourself. lead, and protect your values. If you've buried creativity due to fear of judgment or pressure to be practical, you may feel unfulfilled or disconnected from your sense of purpose. Reclaiming it can reignite your passion and inner aliveness. By integrating these traits, you move closer to what Jung called psychological wholeness, a state where your full potential can emerge. Working with the shadow often stirs up intense emotions: guilt, shame, anger, grief. This is natural. These emotions aren't signs of failure. They're signs of growth. Instead of running from these feelings, sit with them. Let them surface. Observe them without judgment. This is where mindfulness becomes useful. Meditation helps you witness your emotions like passing clouds without getting overwhelmed. Shadow work also requires compassion for yourself and for others. When you discover traits you've denied, meet them with kindness. You are not broken. You are becoming whole. Jung called the journey of integrating the shadow part of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming your true self. This journey isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming real. You stop fighting against parts of yourself and instead make peace with them. You learn that your flaws and fears are also sources of wisdom and strength. Over time, you gain emotional resilience. You stop reacting impulsively. You handle criticism with maturity. You form deeper, more honest relationships. You live more authentically. This is the gift of shadow work. It liberates you from the fear of being seen and allows you to step fully into who you are. Here's a simple 5-step daily routine to begin. Mindfulness check-ins. 3 times a day, pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? What triggered this feeling? This helps you notice emotional patterns. Next is shadow journaling. In the evening, write about any moment in the day that brought up discomfort or judgment. Ask, what does this say about me? What might I be hiding? Third is trigger reflection. When someone triggers you, instead of focusing on their behavior, ask, what part of me is being reflected here? Fourth is dream analysis. Keep a notebook by your bed. Jung believed dreams offer insights into the unconscious. Write down your dreams and look for symbols or themes. Fifth is mirror visualization. Close your eyes. Visualize a mirror. Instead of your face, imagine a figure made of shadows. Step closer. Ask, what are you here to show me? Embrace it. These practices may feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, they become powerful tools for transformation.